Everything that lives is designed to end. We are perpetually trapped in a never-ending spiral of life and death. Is this a curse? Or some kind of punishment? I often think about the god who blessed us with this cryptic puzzle, and wonder if we'll ever have the chance to kill him.
That question leads us to one of 2017's most profound gaming experiences, a JRPG that redefined its genre and brought an obscure franchise to the world's attention. That game was Nier Automata, an action JRPG co-developed between Square Enix and Platinum Games. Directed by Yoko Taro and produced by Eijiro Nishimura and Yosuke Saito, Automata served as a sequel to Taro's 2010 JRPG Nier Replicant, and also a new entry to the shared universe of Nier and Drakengard. Set in a post-apocalyptic version of Earth, Automata inherits many elements from its predecessors, whether it's music or narrative, while streamlining the action combat introduced in Drakengard 3 and Nier Replicant through the help of the renowned developer Platinum Games, who was behind the development of Bayonetta and Metal Gear Rising. Now, without further delay, let's move into the gameplay of Nier Automata.
Activating short-range attack gear.
In terms of character action games, Nier is quite different when compared to the established franchises in this space, some of them being DMC and Metal Gear Rising. Like those games, Nier has a character progression system, including but not limited to the upgrade system for characters through plug-in chips, weapons, equipment, etc. A core difference between Automata and the other games, however, is the JRPG elements Automata have within its systems, giving each function a canonical context within the game world. For example, scenes where the player is tuning the sight and hearing of 2B and having to purchase specific upgrades from in-game locations are different from the traditional method of skill points and simple percentage-based upgrades. Each death is also canonical, with players needing to retrieve their previous bodies to regain items and upgrades. In Nier, players can control a total of 3 protagonists with different abilities throughout the different routes of the game. Each character is controlled through traditional action RPG mechanics, such as light-heavy attacks, blocking, dodging, and combos. In addition to those basic attacks, there are auxiliary combat robots called pods that provide long-range attacks and support functions. The UI for cooldowns is also intuitively displayed during combat through off-white circles and numbers. Another unique factor that distinguishes Nier from its peers is the use of camera angles and mini-games within the game's combat. These additional gameplay elements innovate the basic mechanics of action games and pay homage to classic games. In some scenes, the camera of the game will seamlessly transition into a 2-axis game mode. In this perspective, the game turns into a horizontal or vertical scrolling bullet hell. This allows players to experience not only the excitement of character action gameplay, but also other classical arcade-like elements at the same time. Players often find themselves fighting in a third-person perspective in the last second, and then immediately thrust into platform battles, air combat, hacking, or other mini-games. It is easy for players to see references to classic games like Contra, Battle City, and Raiden 3. The significance of the clever use of camera angles and the implementation of these mini-games gives the gameplay of Nier a refreshing feeling whilst remaining seamless and immersive. There are also other elements of the gameplay contained in separate side quests and activities like fishing, but much of that is better experienced than explained. Along with its robust systems, Nier's story has a total of 27 endings with 5 major routes. This gives the player a great initiative to replay and experience the full extent of the game's story, combat, world, and characters. Speaking of the world and characters of Nier, it's time to move on to the narrative of Nier Automata. The story is set 10,000 years in the future as the Earth is occupied by alien mechanical life and human beings are forced to live on the moon. In order to return to the Earth, human beings send humanoid machines on the Earth to eliminate mechanical life. The story is told through 2 Yorha android units, 2B and 9S, as they unravel the stories and mysteries they encounter during this great conflict. Each unraveling ringing back to the question asked at the beginning of the game about life's purpose, the fear of love, the concept of loss, and the denial of truth. The characters you meet during the story of Nier are often caricatures of philosophers and biblical characters like Marx, John Paul, Adam and Eve, etc. Many of these characters tackle humanist questions and challenges whilst being machine life forms who were supposed to have no purpose in the cycle of death and rebirth. Nier Automata has a total of 27 endings, 5 of which are main storyline endings with 1 true ending. The remaining 21 are special endings in which death or fleeing the battlefield under special circumstances, and 1 DLC ending. Each route offers the player a new perspective on the story through 3 different protagonists. In each ending, players make the decisions that determine the characters' fates, and sometimes even sacrificing their own save files for another player to gain an opportunity to progress. How many games ask you to delete your complete save data? Only Nier. All of these elements contribute to making the ultimate humanist fable of purpose and sacrifice written by the all-too-eccentric Yoko Taro. A game, however, can't exist without art and music. It's time for us to explore the art direction of Nier Automata. Akihiko Yoshida took the role of art director for Nier Automata. Being notable for his work on Final Fantasy XII and Bravely Default, he developed an art style of using muted, desaturated colors and medieval clothing styles. This habit persisted during the development of Nier by following the guideline of sleek designs with black as the dominant color, while being challenged with creating sci-fi characters rather than the usual fantasy setting. His designs for the game's main protagonists, 2B and 9S, were created by following a format featuring Victorian costumes consisting of glossy black with stark white trimmings to complement Yorha's slim and doll-like bodies. The team was also given plenty of creative freedom under the direction of Yoko Taro, such as Taro's decision to give Yorha units blindfolds because masked protagonists were not common, or the decision to give 2B high heels due to Taro believing a fictional story that takes place 10,000 years in the future does not need to obey the grounded, realistic expectations of the present, or he just simply really likes girls. Yoshida also believes that being comfortable with his subjects is more important than basing them on popular tropes, and according to other staff members, he maintained a consistent aesthetic for the characters of Nier, creating timeless and iconic designs. The environment of Nier took place within the post-apocalyptic and desolate remnants of Earth during 11945 AD. With the open-world nature of the game, players were encouraged to traverse, interact, and appreciate the beauty of the environment. The game embodies a somber theme that was further enhanced by the subdued tones and barren landscapes. According to a note from Shohei Kamioka, an environment artist for Nier, proposed that the use of open space and chic colors emphasizes silhouettes. Areas such as the city ruins, desert camp, amusement park, forest kingdom, including the bunker, all paint the protagonists into the spotlight wherever they go. One of the major plot points of Nier was the unraveling of the nature of machines. Throughout the early stages of the game, the androids, known to be a race of mindless, hostile beings, began to display signs of intelligence. The machines evolve as the player progresses, gradually developing speech and emotion and forming civilizations. Hisayoshi Kijima, the concept artist responsible for enemy designs of NA, had designed different types of machines based on the areas they reside in. Machines in the desert resemble a desert tribe by wearing cloaks, ornaments, and masks, whilst machines in the forest kingdom were dressed in knight armor and used conventional military tactics. No matter how juxtaposed their appearances and behavior are, they all retained their identical features of cylindrical bodies and spherical heads under the instructions of Taro. Making machines simple and subtractive would create room for various designs and personalities, akin to a blank canvas ready to be painted on. Standing alongside the stellar game design and art direction is another Goliath hidden within this niche masterpiece. Nier Automata's award-winning soundtrack and design were helmed by Keiichi Okabe and members of his studio Monica, including Kakeru Ishihama, Keigo Hawashi, and Takafumi Nishimura of Kaguya. With previous works on the Drakengard series and Tekken, Okabe was brought back again to helm the sequel to Yoko Taro's cult title, Nier: Replicant. From serene melodies in peaceful areas to intense and chaotic tracks during battles, Automata's soundtrack features a plethora of intense electronic arrangements, emotionally weighted vocals performances, and somber instrumentals. Whether it's an abandoned city eroded by the winds of time and sand or a rusted theme park, Nier's soundtrack eases the player in slowly with light instrumentals, then with emotion-invoking vocal leitmotifs. These elements of the soundtrack combine to invite players into the world's post-apocalyptic environments. For example, the track Memories of Dust plays when the player first enters the desert area in the game. The slow and haunting instrumentals of the desert greet the player with the vocals of the track of made-up interpretive words, only making its entrance once the eroded complex of a fallen human civilization emerges from the sands. Its presence echoes the memories of humanity and the weight of it all. Some tracks also have different versions as you progress through the story, one example being The Abandoned City. The soft whisper-like track you encountered at the very beginning of the game turns into a warm and dynamic vocal track upon your return to the overgrown city. As you continue your journey with 2B and 9S and meet characters from the factions that exist in Yoko Taro's world, you will hear more tracks that resonate with the emotions and characters he wanted to ridicule, spotlight, and invoke, like the beautiful sorrow-filled theme of the Simone fight, or the childlike innocence of the living machines found within Pascal's track, or the somber hope in a vague hope, the outburst of an emotionless character in Weight of the World, and countless others in the story's many endings. How do sound and voice connect us to being human? What makes a being alive? Nier, Automata's soundtrack not only captures the heart of the players who experience the game, but also Yoko Taro's humanist fable in its entirety, and is an integral part of Nier Automata's identity and legacy. In conclusion, through our brief playthrough of 2017's action JRPG Nier Automata, we found a multi-dimensional genre-defining piece of media, with diverse gameplay mechanics merging 2D and 3D spaces, detailed and intuitive art design, heart-wrenching music, and the ultimate humanist fable born from a stubborn video game director who just really wanted to make a bullet hell.